Oh boy, did I make a mistake flying a Chinese airline? With China reopening to the world again and Chinese airlines increasing their international flights, there are many airlines that are once again popping up in people's flight searches, often offering fares that are significantly lower than other airlines. The thing is, Chinese airlines are infamous. People generally don't have very good things to say about them for a variety of reasons, and although I've flown several of them on shorter flights, I've never had the chance to spend over 10 hours on one. So come with me as I fly from South Korea to Dubai via Shanghai on one of the country's biggest airlines, China Eastern. Annyeonghaseyo from Korea, where a Chinese adventure is about to begin. So the Chinese airline I am flying today is China Eastern, and let me tell you, the experience has already been a huge headache and we haven't even started. Yes, so things started out very bad. I'll share everything that led up to the flight throughout the video, and I'll share the absolutely insane cash fare I paid for this ticket at the end. One massive frustration initially was the inability to select seats. During booking, I could select them, but this is what most China Airlines cabins looked like a few weeks out. You see those seats with an X? Those are blocked, meaning they can't be selected. So although tons of seats were empty, Oscar and I couldn't get seats together. Well, it turns out that after booking, there is no way to change your seats. I called the airline 3 times, and every time the agent barely spoke English, but eventually conveyed the fact that seat selection isn't possible until I get to the airport. Once we're at check-in in Seoul, we finally asked to change seats on the sold-out Shanghai to Dubai leg. Nope, not possible until we depart Shanghai. What? At this point, the seat map looks like this, and neither of us have a window seat. So somehow, we've been screwed. Well, we passed through Incheon to the satellite gates, arriving at our gate the minute our 777 pulls in from Shanghai. East Asia really is a different place. My 777 just landed that's taking us to Shanghai in 1 hour, and you may think 1 hour, that's not a lot. Well, here it's very normal to schedule a turnaround time of 1 hour, in this case exactly 60 minutes on a 777-300, which is just unbelievable and impossible in most parts of the world. We're about to hop on board this bad boy, so let's check out its unique configuration. China Eastern's Boeing 777-300 features 258 economy class seats, 6 first class seats in front, and then my cabin for today, business class, which has an impressive 52 seats. Oscar and I managed to get 8 and 9L since business class was virtually empty on this leg, but it turns out that row 8 is best avoided since it doesn't have any windows. As with all regular reverse herringbone configurations, I struggle to recommend sitting in the middle if you're traveling with someone since you're so far apart anyway, but who knows, on China Eastern you might not have much of a choice and just end up here. But what's this? Well, let's see what this strange first class cabin looks like as we hop on board. By the door, to my surprise I must say, we're greeted by the loveliest crew who speak incredibly good English. A far cry from the call center and what awaits on the following flight. We're led to our seats through the first class cabin, which has this huge empty space for literally no reason, besides maybe saving weight as far as I can tell. The seats look awesome here, but first class is not sold between South Korea and China, and it doesn't seem like business class passengers without elite status are able to sit here on these shorter flights either. The business class cabin consists of 2 rows in front and then a ton of rows behind the second door. This is definitely one of the bigger business class cabins out there. It actually reminds me of American's 777-300. Our seats are very standard for reverse herringbones nowadays, as you can see, and this is my preferred type since it has more space by the feet with a video monitor that folds out like this. There is plenty of storage, there is convenient charging, and easy seat controls. Comparing to many other airlines with this seat, China Airlines has a slightly more basic version without a seat extension or a locker on the side. There is also a little less privacy, but I still love it. What do we think about the cabin colors and ambiance? Well, that's up to you. Once you see the second flight, I swear this is very appealing in comparison. Incredibly enough, there is pre-departure service consisting of a choice between water, fancy orange juice, or champagne, as well as beautifully presented hot towels. Very nice. The cute safety video plays as we push back, and I have a moment to check all the Inflight magazines, including this morning's Shanghai Daily. That's a nice touch. There's even a beverage list on this short flight, but nothing for the food. The drink list is quirky to say the least, and although the alcoholic selection is very limited, I love this. Just as we're about to take off, I get a call from a random number, but luckily I know not to pick up. It's spam. Just in 2022, spam cost Americans over $1.2 billion. The crazy thing is that's little compared to the $52 billion Americans lost to identity theft. 1.5 million people were impacted, one person every 6 seconds. That means since this video started, dozens of people have had their identity stolen to apply for things like credit cards and loans in their names. So how is my call blocked? By Aura, who use AI to protect me against dangerous phone calls and texts. They also protect me against identity theft by scanning the internet for my personal information and requesting to have it removed. The biggest thing that helps me relax is that they include a $1 million identity theft insurance as soon as you sign up, as well as making sure all your passwords are safe and notifying you if any are leaked or compromised. If you have kids, I also cannot recommend checking out Aura enough. They do more than pretty much any company to help keep your kids safe online. Check Aura out for 14 days for free at aura.com/nonstop or at the link at the top of the description, and please don't regret that you waited. With that, let's blast out of Seoul for the 90-minute flight to Shanghai. As we're climbing, we hit some rough air and the crew comes on and says, "Ladies and gentlemen, please don't worry about the turbulence." How cute. Okay, so it's amazing having entertainment on such a short flight, but what you're about to see is the system that's offered on all flights. There is one comedy show. That's really something. There are also a total of 17 Western movies, 17 in English. The headphones are also giving budget cuts. China Eastern is just not a technological airline in any sense. Their website doesn't work at all, even for booking flights. And of course, it's impossible to select or change seats. It's also virtually impossible to order special meals. And when I called the airline, the rude, barely English-speaking agents all said China Eastern no longer offers special meals. Yikes. And obviously, I wouldn't complain about them not knowing English if I hadn't selected English as my language when I called. To be fair, this is the depressing-looking meal other passengers are served, so I'm not sure I'm missing out on much. To my shock, though, there is Wi-Fi and it's free for all business class passengers. Even crazier, the speeds are genuinely fast. There are also slippers that are beautifully presented, and speaking of beautiful things, this is their freeze-dried fruit drink, which is served with another hot towel. I am so torn right now. How can some aspects be so laughably bad and some be so awesome? With such a short flight time, there obviously isn't time to sleep, but I reclined the seat to give you guys a look at bed mode, which is nice. Can I just say how impressive it is that they offer blankets and a plush pillow on a flight this length? Unfortunately, there are no individual air vents to control the temperature, but honey, there isn't even time for that because 45 minutes before landing, just halfway through the flight, the crew come by ordering everyone to store computers, put their seats upright, and prepare for landing. Excuse me, we're at cruising altitude, but I'm also not surprised. That's Chinese law, not the airline. I rush to the bathroom given the long wait until we're on the ground, and here's another nice surprise. Such spacious lavatories. So we start our descent into Shanghai, and wow, the excitement is really building. We touch down, and after 20 minutes of taxiing, I leave the flight feeling overwhelmingly positive about the onboard experience, well, besides the entertainment system and the meal situation. Now the question is, will my second flight live up to this high standard? Well, stay tuned to find out. Without a doubt, my favorite thing about flying China Eastern is the 24 hours we get to enjoy in Shanghai. It's an even more awesome city than I remember. There will be a vlog from our 24-hour layover here coming to Oscar and Dan very soon. It's just crazy experiencing Shanghai post-COVID, and I know you don't want to miss that, or at least I hope you don't. Shanghai Pudong is a wild airport. It's massive, the architecture is intimidating, presumably by design, and sadly, it's still pretty empty post-COVID. Our arrival the day before was fast and smooth as a consequence, and so is our departure with minimal traffic to get to Terminal 1 and a blissfully empty outside and inside of the airport. We head all the way to the China Eastern Premium check-in area. What an elegant, peaceful place to check in. At this point, Expert Flyer isn't looking so promising when it comes to seating, but the lovely check-in agent goes, "Would you like to sit together? There's a window seat and an aisle. Come again?" "Yes, please." And she did it. After online problems, the issues in Seoul, all those worries were apparently for nothing. And then she goes, "Your VGML is confirmed." I'll explain more later, but what a good start to the travel day. We clear security and immigration, take the train to the G gates, which are eerily deserted, and pop into VIP Lounge 137. Great name, right? This is an enormous lounge considering they normally have 3 more like it, and I like the design. There don't seem to be a ton of exciting amenities. Well, besides this Relax Australia section, I'm just as confused as you, don't ask. Also, is it Relax Australia? Or more like, geez, Relax Australia? The food spread, on the other hand, didn't relax. It is massive, but just as expected in China, lacking non-animal based options. There's also an outdoor terrace which is closed, but I'd love to sit here someday and breathe in the airplane fumes. No, seriously, I love that. I don't vape, I just inhale airplane fuel. Well, no time to diddle-daddle here. Let's check out our next aircraft for the significantly longer 9-hour flight to Dubai. Only in Asia would you get a plane almost twice the size on a 90-minute flight, and then a small A330-200 on a long-haul flight. But hey, this special livery is pretty awesome. This A330-200 is honestly the backbone of China Eastern's long-haul fleet, and usually comes in a 2-class configuration with 30 business class seats and 204 economy seats. The latter's in a 242 layout, while business is in a 222 layout spread across 5 rows. Okay, amazing for sitting together with someone else, yes, but also a huge downgrade from the 777, unfortunately. Given how narrow the A330 is, you'll see what challenge this configuration presents in flight. Oscar and I were finally assigned 9A and 9C, the bulkhead row in the rear cabin. Sitting in the forward cabin would be preferable here since there is less traffic during boarding, and avoid row 10 since it has a blocked window, if you have a choice of seat, that is. Let's see this pretty blue in real life, shall we? As we board, I'm wondering if my meal actually exists. You know, after phone support repeatedly told me there was no such thing. I don't have much time to think until I'm greeted and taken to my seat. I can immediately tell the crew on this flight barely speaks English at all. This will be interesting. The A330 cabin looks like a different airline from the 777, and I can't say I find these colors especially sexy. I mean, we do love these little fans, but the design is definitely a choice. I'm really happy to be in the seat and be able to talk easily to Oscar, but as I hinted, the narrow A330 presents some challenges. There is no storage around you whatsoever. Everything needs to go all the way down by your feet. The seat controls are here, making them sort of easy to hit by mistake. The remote reminds me of how they envisioned futuristic technology like 50 years ago. There is this raisable thing. I hesitate to call it a privacy divider. So yeah, this seat has one benefit, being able to sit together, and a bunch more drawbacks compared to other seats out there. Just like the 777, the China Eastern A330 lacks individual air vents. Honestly, there are a lot of similarities to the previous flight. The pre-departure service is the same, which hey, I'm not complaining about. They have the same beverage list, but guys, this menu is something else. This is a year-long menu, so it's a little confusing, but I guess I'll show you our food options here. And then here's the rest of the year. There's also an anytime menu with pictures that looks pretty nice. By 1:20 p.m., 10 minutes ahead of schedule, our sold-out flight is pushing back, and soon enough, we rocket out of Shanghai, flying the most logical way possible, of course, considering how limited the available flight paths are in China. The views outside are quite interesting, which is good because we have the same meager entertainment selection as on the previous flight, but again, the free Wi-Fi helps sweeten the deal. About an hour after takeoff, partly because the seatbelt sign is on for so long in China, the lunch service begins. I give the peppermint soda a try and wow, I love this. It's like a chemical version of lemon mint, so what's not to love? We also get some nuts and raisins. Next up, my vegan meal is brought out. Okay, yay that they actually have it somehow, but also, oh no, this is what they're serving. The regular meal does look better. Quite a while later, my main is served, which tastes much nicer than the appetizer. Not that the appetizer was much competition, and my portion looks bigger than the regular dishes this time. My neighbor across the aisle doesn't seem too excited about his food. Overall, lunch is forgettable, but hey, at least it exists. Throughout the meal, I'm shocked again how difficult it is to communicate with the crew compared to my previous flight. They don't even understand when we ask for salt and pepper, and it doesn't help that right after the meal service, they just come around closing everyone's window shades. No, this is really such a pet peeve. We're flying over so many incredibly fascinating places on this fully daytime flight, and I and many other people around me are working. Why force everyone to close their blinds when most people have them open? To the crew's credit, they're not doing this because they're lazy and trying to get out of work. At least I don't think so, because every time I go to the lavatory, the toilet paper is folded, which is a luxury flair you don't find on many airlines, so kudos for that. I spend the rest of the flight working until I'm finally allowed to open my windows, at which point I recline and realize, yikes, this is an incredibly narrow bed. For example, I physically can't lay on my back with my arms by my side, but at least there's unrestricted space by the feet. Maybe I should just rotate 180 degrees and try that. Also, the bedding is quite nice, definitely above average. For some reason though, the crew only seem to hand out amenity kits on request, so I finally get a hold of one. The packaging is pretty cute and the contents are standard. 2.5 hours before landing, which seems like an awful lot, the pre-arrival meal is served. Before the meal, I have this cup glass and banana peel next to me for hours. The crew walk by and see it so many times but never collect it. I have to ask them to do it even after the meal is served. So the appetizer is literally depression on a plate, but again, at least they have a special meal. The main, on the other hand, is actually quite tasty, even though it looks like someone shook the plate about 20 times before serving it. A while later, the crew suddenly begin preparing the cabin for landing 45 minutes before arrival again. That means no computers, no recline, no more drinks, and no more bathrooms. Soon enough, we touch down in scorching hot Dubai and bid them farewell without receiving business class immigration fast track cards. So as you can tell, the second flight left me a lot less impressed than the first. Overall, the whole experience was a roller coaster with some high highs and low lows. Mainly, I love the ability to have a 24-hour stopover for free with a transit visa in Shanghai. I love the drinks. The service on the first flight was great. The check-in at Shanghai Pudong. But given the incredibly frustrating pre-flight experience when it came to selecting seats, meals, and generally customizing my experience, I probably wouldn't jump on this opportunity again. The in-flight entertainment is also really bad. It's pretty challenging to have a crew that really doesn't speak English. The A330 seat is very far below the competition on most routes. And the meals, I think for everyone, were a little underwhelming. Overall, I leave with very mixed thoughts and I definitely wouldn't be opposed to doing this again. But yeah, if there are better options either with points or at similar prices with cash, I will probably opt for those. I found this fare on Google Flights at an insane $700 one way from Seoul to Dubai. According to Google Flights, you can book it through these sources. And of course, I'd love to opt for the airline website whenever possible, except whenever I would search business class on China Eastern's website, no results would appear. It would simply show me economy on any route I searched. Therefore, I finally decided to book it through the most legit place I could think of, booking.com. Not a good place to book flights at all, but it seemed like the most decent option if the airline website wasn't available. Booking.com actually let me submit the meal request and select the seats during booking, but yeah, no changes could be made either on booking.com or via the airline after the booking was confirmed. On that note, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and let me introduce myself for those who haven't been here before. I'm Nonstop Dan, a half Swede and half American who has been obsessed with airplanes for as long as I can remember. Over the past 8 years, I've been lucky to call reviewing airlines my full-time job, and in that time, I've flown 150 different airlines, always self-funded. Nothing makes me happier than seeing you guys have an amazing trip after following my advice. So I hope this video helps you with your choices.